Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Brandon here, owner and creator of the Wealth Blueprint, and I'm here with you today to go ahead and talk a little bit about real estate wholesaling.
Sunset here over Lake Virginia.
Three simple steps to go ahead and get started. So the first step here is mindset. Now, I say mindset is the first step because you have to really dedicate yourself to being able to unlock that entrepreneur part of yourself. You know what I mean? So what you want to do first is make it a decision that being a part of real estate is something that you really want to do. You know what I mean? Being financially free. You can make a lot of money in real estate, but also too, it's a lot of work. I'm not going to sit here and just tell you and blow smoke and tell you that it's very easy and you can just, be a millionaire overnight. It's definitely a process. It's definitely a grind, but with dedication and, some time, and you put your groundwork in, you definitely can make a good living for yourself, you and your family. You don't actually believe that you can, do it and be able to succeed and be successful, you will never be successful. It all starts with a belief. Write down your goals and make sure that you are on a straight path. Sometimes you might have to go this way and that way, but my job here with you today is to try to get you on the most straight and arrow path as possible. That way you don't run into the same mistakes that I did when I began doing wholesaling. So step number 2 is marketing. Now, with marketing, you have a bunch of different variables inside of it, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you a couple of quick, actionable things that you can do to go ahead and get started. So with marketing, you have, I wanna say paid marketing, and then you have less expensive ways of marketing. I don't think that any marketing is free per se. You can definitely do a lot of sweat equity. You can do a lot of things that don't cost you money in the beginning, but you will be spending money at some point, so you don't have to have a super big budget, but you want to at least have a small budget when you're getting started. You know what I mean? Just from my experience, this is just, I can only talk about what happened with me. So we have pay-per-click or PPC. We also have direct mail. Disregard the handwriting, guys. Not the best. You have direct mail. Then you have cold calling. You have RVM. You have text blasting. And let's put driving for dollars on here as well. So these are a couple of different ways of marketing. Some are a little more expensive than others, but everything is effective. It just depends on how much you're going to do something to get a result. So let's break these down. For instance, let's start with pay-per-click, PPC. Now, PPC is, setting up an SEO campaign through Google. Basically, it's called pay-per-click. So you set up some ads and things like that. And I can break these down in details in further videos, but just to give you a general idea of what these marketing channels are. You have pay-per-click, which is how you will go ahead and be online and you will put Google ads up and you will target a specific audience. And then with that, you bring in, you get sales. So I would say this with PPC is more so getting customers to reach out to you. You're having customers reach out to you through paid advertising. They see an ad, they click on it, they give you a call, and you then go ahead and talk to them about their property, that they want to potentially sell or they have questions about, they don't know how the process works, yada, yada. Now, with direct mail, it's kind of similar. Now you'll be sending out postcards, you'll be sending out letters, and with that, you'll be sending out these pieces of mail and you'll be hoping to get a response back from these sellers. they'll go ahead and give you a call. You put a phone number or you put an email or your website on these postcards, and they'll respond to you back or your company, and you'll be able to have a conversation with them about their property as well. So PPC and direct mail, I'd say they're on the higher tier of marketing. You know, you'll spend some money with PPC, you'll spend some money with direct mail just to get your like analytics right and your data. You'll get your data right, and you'll be able to get very super targeted with these these two channels. Now, the third will be, let's say, cold calling. Now, cold calling is a little bit on the reverse side of it. Now, with cold calling, the way that works is you go online, or you build up a list of a bunch of homeowners. You'll build up a list of a bunch of homeowners, and what you'll do is you'll go ahead and get their phone numbers, and you'll get the phone numbers by using a skip tracing service. I'll put a link in the description of a couple of skip tracing services that I like to use. But you use the skip tracing service, and then you'll be able to call these homeowners, essentially. And you call these homeowners, and you basically have a script available that you have. You can call thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and you're in hope of talking to that one seller, that one homeowner that is interested in actually selling their home. Now, I call this method more so, it's like cold, it's cold marketing. So you're going to talk to a bunch of people that don't want to deal with you. They don't want to talk to you, but you'll find your hidden gems within this big list of people that you have. You'll have some people that just aren't interested, but it's a part of the game. And cold calling is one of the ways that I started out in real estate and wholesaling, because it was one of the cheapest methods. It takes a lot of energy and effort, and it builds your skin. You get tough skin by talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, getting thousands and thousands of no's in the beginning. But I don't say that to discourage you. I say that to let you know that it is possible to get deals done through cold calling, because I got deals done through cold calling, so I can tell you from experience. But it is not an easy task. I won't just sit up here and mislead you and tell you that. But it can be done. Now, RVM. RVM stands for ringless voicemail. Now, with ringless voicemail, it's another form of the seller coming and talking to you. So you'll basically make a ringless voicemail. Just to touch on it briefly, a ringless voicemail is where you'll set a text tone, basically like leaving a voicemail, and you'll record it, and then you'll send it to that same list that you would have gotten with cold calling. You'll send it to this list of motivated sellers. Let's say, for instance, like pre-foreclosures or vacant homes. There's different, tactics that you can use when you make these lists and you create these lists. But with RVMs, you make that message and then you just blast it out. Basically what happens is the voicemail just drops into the seller's phone. Like if you ever got a voicemail and you go on your phone and you got a voicemail, but you don't remember getting a phone call, it's because the voicemail goes directly into their voice messaging box. They go listen to it. If they're interested, they'll call you. If you leave a call to action inside of your voice message, they'll call you back, or they'll email you, they'll text you to get more information about what it is exactly your business does and your company does. So that way you guys can, potentially do business together. Now, that's RVM. Now, text blasting is kind of similar, which you'll just be, sending a text, and you can use different services with that as well. I'll leave a link in the description for that. Text blasting, you'll just send an original message, and you want to make it not sound spammy or kind of scammy. You want to make it relatable, personable, So you want to say something in that will get the attention of the homeowner, and then you'll do that. And with that, they'll send you a text message back if they're interested. If not, they'll just ignore it, So I think text messaging and RVM, people like to choose these methods because they're not live on the phone with a seller that could potentially, curse them out. The seller can, make them feel belittled. They can, whatever the case may be. Like cold calling, you're live on the phone with someone when they answer. So it's a little scary. Some people don't like to be on the phone. Now with RVM and text blasting, they're getting back to you because they're interested. So it's not really a cold lead. It's more of a warm lead. Then when you talk to them and build some rapport, after you build rapport, it becomes a hot lead. And then you can potentially do business with that person. Now with PPC and direct mail, these are more warmer, hotter leads because when someone calls you back from a little itty bitty postcard or calls you back from an ad they see online, that means that they're interested in what you have to offer. You know what I mean? They want to do business with you. They like you. Now, the last step is just getting on the phone with them or meeting with them in person, and building some rapport, getting them to like you more, show that you're a trustable person and they'll want to do business with you, So those is how that works. And then you have D4D. Now, D4D is driving for dollars. Now, this is another way that I got started. So I was driving for dollars and cold calling at the same time. And I got started back in 2017. So I've been doing this about 4 years now. So you can see how I've added a lot of different channels to my marketing. Now I pretty much do everything here. Everything you see on the board, I do everything because I like to expand myself. I don't want to be limited to just one marketing channel. But you want to start with one marketing channel and get really good at it and scale it before you go ahead and, dive into different marketing channels. But driving for dollars is basically you'll get in your car, fill your gas tank up, and you'll just drive around in your local neighborhood or drive around in the area that has a lot of homes. And what you'll do is you'll look for homes that have like high standing grass, maybe some boarded up windows, just a very unkept property. The property's very unkept. It looks like no one really lives there or they don't really take care of the property. They just kind of let it go. Now, what you'll do is you can use, they have different services now. So there's a service, and it's actually called, they have a service called Landglide. That's what I got started with back in the day in 2017. There's a service called Landglide. Basically what you do is you pinpoint the address when you drive by it and you just save it. And then you'll go back then and then find that homeowner and you'll start adding them to your list, and then you'll eventually skip trace it. But there's another new service and it's called Deal Machine. Now with Deal Machine, it's more sophisticated app. Now this is an app that you have to pay for. So if you have a small budget, you can maybe try to not use that app. But if you'd like to, I'll leave a link in the description below with Deal Machine. And with how that works is you can go ahead and save the property. You drive past, you save the property, pinpoint it, and then you can send direct mail directly from the app. You can do a bunch of cool different things from that app to be able to reach that seller while you're driving around. You'll be able to collect a lot of properties. And this is one way that's a little bit cheaper, I'd say, if you're driving for dollars, because you're already putting in that hard work to drive around and find these properties. So by you maybe paying for a service like Deal Machine, that it kind of balances out. You still could be spending less money than maybe doing PPC or direct mail in the beginning. So like I say, but I started off with Landglide. Landglide was a free app. I didn't have to pay any money, and it worked for me. So these are a couple of different ways of marketing here that you guys can do, and it's good to know these methods. I would watch this video as many times as you need to go back and kind of understand the breakdown, because this marketing is one of your main sources to getting in leads. The name of the game is leads. If you don't have leads in your business will not succeed at all. You need to have an overflow of leads. That way you can always have, leads and leads coming in. You can always have deals processing. So it's never a slow or a dry time for you. You know what I mean? You want to always be doing deals. You want to always be doing deals every month, month in and month out. So that way you're building consistency. And that way you can learn your numbers, get your KPIs, which is your key performance indicators. You want to get your KPIs. You want to be able to scale. You want to scale your business to the moon as fast as possible. But you want to make sure you understand the basics first before you want to scale up. I know everyone wants to make a lot of money. People want to be very successful. I understand that. But you want to make sure that you understand the basics first. Now, let's go into step 3. Step 3 is your disposition. So I like to break this down in a couple of different ways. Now, what I'll say about disposition Your disposition is the way you're going to move that property. So once you get this property under contract, after, your leads come in, your lead will come in, you'll get it under contract. And after you get it under contract, you'll then sell that contract to an end buyer. This is your disposition. This is where you'll be moving the property. Now, you want to have different exit strategies. There's a lot of different exit strategies. We're not going to get into all of them today. Let's just talk about, let's say, an actual investor. Let's talk about an investor. Let's say an investor wants the property that you have under contract. You guys will then go ahead and make that exchange. You'll sell that contract, that purchase contract, to the seller. And now when you do that, that's how you'll get paid. Now for disposition, like I said, there's a lot of different methods with that. But what I want to show you guys is a quick illustration here of what is wholesaling. Now, wholesaling, for those of you that don't know, wholesaling is when you have a seller. So this is seller here. I'll label it. This is seller. Seller or homeowner. So this is the seller here. And the seller owns this home. Let's just say it's called 123 Main Street. All right. So the seller owns the home at 123 Main Street. And this is me here. I'm the wholesaler. All right. I'm the wholesaler. And by me being the wholesaler, what I'm going to do is I use all of my marketing channels here to be able to reach this seller. And then once I have a conversation with this seller, I will then put the property under contract. This is my contract here. I put the property under contract. And once I do that, now I have control of that property. I have control of the next thing that happens with the property. So what I'll do essentially is get the property under contract for a certain, X amount of dollars. Let's just say for this example, I got the property under contract for $50,000. Let's just say $50,000 is what I got the property under contract for, right? So I got this property under contract for $50K. So me and the seller had a conversation. I built rapport, and we came to an agreement that the property, that I'll pay $50,000 for the property. At closing, after closing, everything. If everything goes well, they'll go ahead and get $50,000 when this property is all settled through closing, right? So this is the $50K here. Now I have control of this. Now I have a certain amount of days that I'll write inside of this binding contract that I have to be able to move this property. So I'm just a wholesaler, right? So I'm not going to actually spend $50,000 to purchase the property from this seller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce this next person here. This next person here is the investor. All right. So we have investor here. All right. So this is the investor. Now, the investor is investing in properties in this area that the seller lives in. But the investor doesn't have any time to go and do marketing and talk to all these people like I do. I do all of the work. I'm the middleman, pretty much. I'm the wholesaler. So I'm the person who is, I am talking to the investor, and I'm also talking to the seller. So I'm in between this transaction. I am bringing the sellers to the investor, and then I'm also bringing the investor to the sellers. But as I said, I'm in the middle. So what happens here? I got the property under contract from the seller. Now I take this contract and then I create a separate contract with the investor saying that, hey, you like the property in this area? Well, I have it under contract, right? I have rights to this property, and I have the property for sale for, let's say, $60,000, right? So then I'll go ahead and sell this property, or I'll sell this contract to the investor for $60,000. So what happens here? Now, there's two contracts that I'll have, correct? I have one between me and the seller. Then I have another contract between myself and the investor. Now, the investor, the reason why they'll pay $60,000 for this property is because we'll get more into ARV and the actual how you go through this entire process more in later videos to come. But okay, now the investor will maybe end up selling this property for, let's say, $120,000. So the investor isn't concerned about paying $60,000 for the property, because once he buys it for $60,000, he might put $20,000 or $30,000 worth of work in it. So now let's say it's at 80 or 90, he'll sell it for 120. So the investor is happy because he's making 30 grand, 20, 30 grand on this back end deal of the property once it's all nice and pretty and HGTV ready. And I'm happy because he's going to buy it for 60 grand from me, but I got it under contract from the seller for 50 grand. So if you think about it, that's a $10,000 profit for me just by bringing the seller to the investor and the investor to the seller. I'm just in the middle. I'm making the deal happen, by me doing marketing, building rapport with the seller. Now, there's different ways where this transaction can actually happen, but this is one of my favorite ways because it's the most simple way for it to happen. I get the property under contract, then I sell the contract to the investor for a little bit more money. Why? And now let me explain why you can sell this contract for more than what you got it for. This is the thing. This is you getting paid for your services. You have to pay for all of your marketing. You put in all that time. You talk to all those sellers. You know what I mean? You did all of that. So you get a fee, which is called an assignment fee. You get an assignment fee because you did that groundwork. You made this deal happen. You are just as important as the seller and the investor. You know what I mean? In this scenario. So, and this actual assignment fee is all based on how well you can work out your numbers. The best way that you work out your numbers with getting your max allowable offers and your ARV and things like that, that is going to determine how much you can actually make in profit on the deal. But let's just say, for instance, for this deal, let's say it's $10,000. So see, this is pretty simple. Everything is definitely not super duper complicated. So let's go over one more time. Step one. Step one is going to be originally to change your mindset. If you don't change your mindset in the beginning, you will not succeed. I would say this is the most important thing about starting any business, wholesaling or not. But definitely when you get into the real estate game, you want to learn how to play this game. You want to learn in a couple of ways you can learn. You can go to your local RIAs, you can go to your local RIA meetings, like real estate meetups and things like that. You can join Facebook groups so you can be able to start changing your mindset, read some books. But just you want to make sure that it's something that you want to do before you even get started. Again, step two is your marketing, your PPCs, your pay-per-click, your direct mail, your postcards, your cold calling, that's calling them over the phone, RVM, your ringless voicemails, your text blasting, and your driving for dollars. These are all your marketing sources here in step two. And step three is your disposition. Your disposition is going to be being able to sell that property to these investors, your end buyer. Selling the property to your end buyer, that's the most important part. So if you really want to, you can also start creating a buyer's list. I have videos in the future to go ahead and show you how to do that exactly, how to create a buyer's list and how to basically be able to move these properties, through Facebook Marketplace, through Craigslist. There's a lot of different ways you can move the property. Okay. And in this example again here, this is your seller. They're selling the house for $50K. I'm going to go ahead and buy her $50K from I'm the wholesaler. This is the contract here, and the investor here at the end. And they're going to bring the money to title. Now, what's going to happen at the end of this? I have this contract for $50,000, and also this contract for $60,000. Title company is going to go ahead and run a title search on that property, make sure everything is good and clean and good to go. And then what's going to happen? The investor brings their $60,000 there. The seller comes in, picks up their $50K. Right? So they're happy. The seller's happy. They sold the property. They got money for it. They're good to go. They're going to move somewhere else now, right? I'm the wholesaler. I'm happy. I go to the title company and I pick up a $10,000 check. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You know what I mean? You can make $10,000 in let's say 30 days, 14 days. It all depends on how soon the end buyer can close. This is why you want to have good investors, in your network. You want to have people that you know can close fast, you know, that have the sufficient funds that you work with. You're going to probably work with the similar investors throughout your, I would say, real estate journey. You'll usually use the same people over and over and over and over again until you end up going global, where you might have to find different investors in different areas, right? Now I'm happy. I have $10,000. I'm running to the bank, right? Now your investors also happy because now they did spend $60,000 to the title companies to acquire this property. But in 2-3 months, they're going to flip that bad boy. They're going to spend total, maybe they're all in 90 grand, but they're going to go and sell it then for 120, 130, 140. They'll sell it for whatever is the market value of that property is. You know, they already know that. They're good at their numbers. They're great at their numbers, actually. So they're happy because in the end, they made 30 grand. You know, they made 30 grand. So what I call this here, this is a win-win-win. The seller wins because they got paid for their property. They're happy. I win because I got paid for making the deal happen. And the investor is going to win in the end because they're going to spend some money on it, but they're going to make some money in return. All right. Now, if this video left you any value at all I ask is you just to go ahead and hit that notification bell and like the video as well. It definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. Now, as I said, this is the Wealth Blueprint channel, and we will be leaving a lot of different content, dropping a lot of different content. So if you like learning more about wholesaling, you know, and all the different methods and how you can make money with it, definitely go ahead and check out my next video. I drop a video every single Wednesday, and I'll be teaching you guys more all about real estate, not just wholesaling, but different things about real estate. You know, how to go ahead and open your brain and show you that this is a very profitable business. This business model is very profitable as well. But as I said, we can go ahead and dive more into it on the next video. Catch you guys later.
Sunset here over Lake Virginia.